Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video I would like to share with you an interesting game played between Magnus Carlsen and Peter Svidler. This game was played in round 10 at 2018 World Blitz Championship. Without further ado, let's go for the game and see what happened on the board. Carlsen opened up with c4 and g6 by Svidler, g3 c5. We have the symmetrical English bishop g2 bishop g7, knight c3 knight c6, knight f3 d6, white castles kingside e6, e3 knight e7, d4, black castles kingside. Black actually chose a very solid setup with long-term strategical ideas. Rook e1, rook b8. At some point, black can bring into life this b5 idea. b3, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, e takes d4, knight f5, bishop e3, knight takes e3, rook takes e3, and a6. Yes, black wants to go for that b5 move. Rook c1 by Carlsen. We first see bishop h6, and after f4 the bishop retreated back on g7. With that provocative bishop h6 move, black forced white to push forward his f-pawn, maybe somewhat weakened white's king side, although on the other hand it will be wrong to call this a weakness. Rook d3 by Carlsen, b6, queen d2, bishop d7, h4. Later this pawn can be very useful when organizing an attack on the king side, and also Carlsen is freeing this h2 square for the king where it will be in safety. Queen e7 was played, king h2, rook c8, a4, bishop e8, rook e1, and b5. A takes b5, a takes b5, knight takes b5, bishop takes b5, c takes b5, rook takes b5, and d5. In return we have e5, f5 by Carlsen. Yes, he's challenging black's pawn structure on the king side by going for a pawn sacrifice, which can easily be won back. Black didn't capture on f5, instead played rook b8, intensified the pressure on b3 with queen c2 and g takes f5. Now comes rook f3, f4 by Svidler, and rook takes f4. White is using the fact that the pawn on e5 is pinned. In return we have rook takes b3 and a mistake by Carlsen, queen f5. On the surface this queen f5 move looks a very active jump. The queen is coming to be helpful when organizing the attack, but this is a mistake. Although Svidler didn't use his chance and played rook b1. Instead of rook b1, it was better to play rook takes g3. Now if king takes g3, then e takes f4 is being played with a check. If king f2, then bishop d4 check is coming, and then queen takes h4, black is winning. Or after rook takes g3, if rook c4, then simply rook g6, and black has great winning chances. Actually, black has two extra pawns, right? But in our game we have rook b1. We have the exchange of rooks on b1 and rook g4. At this point Svidler had 1 minute and 6 seconds on the clock and Carlsen 28 seconds. But after rook g4, Svidler started to burn time. Actually, black's position is still solid, but black needs to make precise moves, which turned out to be difficult to make under time pressure. Here Svidler played rook b2 and Carlsen unpinned the bishop by playing king h3, and already this bishop e4 is the threat. Svidler played h5, which is not the strongest continuation. Playing queen d8 could have been better, covering the 8th rank and still keeping the queen on h4 d8 diagonal, and if bishop e4 then king f8. If queen takes h7, then queen f6, black is managing to defend, but in our game after king h3 we have h5. Carlsen played rook g5, at any moment he can win this pawn with a rook, and still this bishop e4 is the threat. After some thoughts, Svidler played queen a7, which is a total blunder. Still, it was not too late to go for queen d8. If rook takes h5, then king f8. But Svidler played queen a7, which allows white to checkmate black king. But Carlsen didn't use his chance and played bishop e4, although this is also winning. Actually, the simple queen c8 move could win on the spot if king h7 and bishop e4 check, and then rook takes h5, a beautiful move, and then black king is in a mating net. But Carlsen played bishop e4. Here black could have prolonged his resistance by playing king f8, although after queen c8 check, king e7, white has this beautiful queen e6 check, and after f takes e6, rook takes g7 check, king f6, rook takes a7, this endgame is winning for white. But after bishop e4 we have queen g1, black created a direct mating threat, but forgot that he had a back rank weakness and Svidler got checkmated after Carlsen made this queen c8 move. An interesting and tense battle between two famous grandmasters, and I hope that you enjoyed this game greatly. Thanks for watching. For more games, consider subscribing to my channel. Also press the bell button to get notified about new uploads. I will see you in my next video. Good luck.